Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Mr. Outlaw, and I've decided to start a new series where I'm going to review the clones of devices. A lot of us can't afford to buy the originals of things like Kayfuns, so there's a lot of clones out there, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. So I want to start reviewing all of the different clones. So if there's a clone of a device that you'd like to see me review, do me a favor and leave it down in the comments section below, or tweet me at Vapor Outlaw. I'll try to get my hands on that device, and we'll go ahead and review it. Now, up today, we're going to review the Tobeco Kayfun V4 clone. This is a clone of the Kayfun V4 made by Tobeco. So let's get into it. The Kayfun V4. This device is awesome. I have to hand it to the people at Tobeco. They do an incredible job at coming up with ingenious ideas. But you know what the problem with the Kayfun V4 is? It's $180. Who can afford to spend $180 on an RBA? So like I said in the intro, I want to start taking a look at clones of devices so that we people who can't afford to spend $100, $150, $200 on RBAs can go ahead and get one of the clone ones. And we're going to start off today with the Tobeco version of the Kayfun V4. And I can tell you, having used the authentic Kayfun V4, this thing is dead on. It's almost identical, even down to they put the Kayfun logo on it. I mean, the only difference that I found between this device and the actual Kayfun V4 from Tobeco is the glass tank is thinner glass. That's about the only difference. But other than that, this thing came super clean. It didn't have a ton of machine oil on it. There's no etchings. It looks great. It vapes great. I've had no issues with it. Now, you want to know what the ingenious part of the Kayfun V4 from the old Kayfuns is? Two things. Number one, they have an adjustable airflow that allows you to open this thing wide open. And I mean wide open. You really can get a lot of air into it. But the other thing, the thing that makes this thing so ingenious, why this is 10 times better than my Russian 91 or my Kayfun Light, is the fact that I can top fill it. What they've done is they've taken this little thing here and all you do is turn it just like this, and it's adjustable juice control. Now that my juice control is off, all I got to do is unscrew the top and go ahead and fill my juice up. Nice and super simple. Then we close it back up. Open up our juice control just like that and vape it. This thing gives me the most flavor I've had out of any Kayfun I've ever tried. It's incredible. The airflow is there. The vapor is there. The flavor is there. So let's get down into an up close and personal. Take a look at the device. Then we'll come back and I'll give you the pros and cons on it. So when we get our Kayfun V4 from Tobeco, this is the box it comes in. We'll go ahead and we'll open this up. And this is the stainless steel silver model. And we have our device right here. It comes with a plastic tank and a glass tank. Now, as far as the device itself, it says Tobeco right here. They really went about cloning this thing well. Down on the bottom right here, we have our Tobeco logo. It is plain on the bottom. We have an adjustable 510 pin, and below that is our airflow control. It comes with the stainless steel tank already on it, and we're going to go ahead and change that out to the glass. Now, here we have our 510 drip tip, and then we have our top right here that comes off. And then we have another piece here that comes off. And this is how we're going to take this entire thing apart. Now to take it apart and change out our tank, there's a little nut right there with some knurls on it. We're going to kind of unscrew that like this. And I do find with my fingers it's a little bit harder to get in there, but you can get in there. And once you got that off, this whole top piece comes off. Then you take out your center ring. This bottom ring unscrews here too. And then we have our chimney section here. Now to take the chimney section off, you're going to kind of grab onto your adjustable flow and unscrew it like this. And now we have our build deck here. And you have the little piece for your chimney here. And you're just going to kind of unscrew it. And we have our build deck. You can see on our build deck, we now have 4 screws instead of 2, so you can do double coils, but it really is still meant for a single coil, but it makes it a little bit easier to do double coils. Well, all of the juice for this comes up from the bottom, and it's going to make it a little bit different when you wick. On this device, we're going to want to really pack in that wick. But again, this is a brand new device. I haven't done anything with it, and you can see that there is really hardly any machine oil on it. Now right here, I have the juice flow completely wide open. Now if you want to adjust the juice flow and take this apart even further, you're going to grab onto the part you hold for the juice control and just simply turn on the very bottom of the base. And if you look right here, you can see how the deck is starting to raise up. And you just keep going, and that would turn off your juice flow control. Now, if you do this when you're not on a device, you're going to take this entire thing apart. And you can see there, now you have that. And inside here is your spring. Put it back on, just kind of put your spring on the center, put it here, and just simply make sure your threads are not cross-threaded, and turn it, and you can open your juice flow back up. So now this device is fresh out of the box. I haven't even rinsed it off, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse it off, and then we're going to do a build on it. Okay, so now that we have everything all cleaned off and all the machine oil, which there really wasn't much on there, I've got a pre-made coil here that I've already made. It is 5 wraps of 28 gauge Kanthal, and all we're going to do is put it on here. And what I like to do is kind of take my wire and wrap it under both screw heads. So I'm going to put it on the one side here, again with the leads on the bottom, just like you would on the Kayfun. Screw it down there. And I screw down the other side. Now again, I just do this to kind of have a double connection there to make sure it's nice there. And I'll just kind of pull it over, wrap my wire around this way. Kind of hard for me to do this on camera. And you can see there. I will just elevate it off of the deck. I got to screw down this one first. And now I'll just kind of elevate it off the desk about a millimeter or millimeter and a half. Get it centered. Now I can just kind of cut my leads off here. One on that side. One on that side. We'll compress this coil a little bit. Now let's put it on the device and fire it up. Okay, so we have it on our Hannemans. We are reading a 1.48 ohm coil. Let's fire it and see how we go. And that looks pretty good. I love using that Coil Master tool. I really never get any hot spots on there. Now as far as wicking, it's very different than your old Kayfuns. Here you want to use more cotton. And I'm going to take a nice fluffy piece, and I'm just going to cut it. I'm going to cut about 3 millimeters, 4 millimeters wide. And I want it nice and fluffy. I really want to stuff that thing through. I'm going to twist up the one end. And this is a 3 millimeter in diameter coil. Snip off the one side. And I'm going to feed it through. And again, I'm going to make this fairly tight. If you want to vape it at a higher VG juice, or if you want to vape it with a high wattage, you definitely want to have more cotton. And once you have it through there, and I know you're thinking it's probably too tight, but we're going to mess with this a little bit. Just kind of snip off your one end. Make sure you're going to come down to the deck. You want to make sure you come down below the deck. Just like that. Now I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm going to fluff this out. I'm going to try to like really loosen everything up. That's going to really help me to feed my juice in there. This way it's nice and fluffy in there. Now I can snip off some of the ragged edges on there. And you can see here it still comes down on the deck. And then I'm going to put my top cap back on. Just make sure your cotton's not getting stuck in those threads. And then just stuff that cotton down in there. I like to have this thing really stuffed with cotton. And doing it this way, I've had no dry hits, even running 100% VG juice. So it's like that. Let's juice this up a little bit and fire it up. Okay, so to put this thing back together, if you're all juiced up, you're going to first thing put your chimney on like this. And you don't want to over tighten it. If you over tighten it, you're going to have a hard time taking this back apart. Then you're going to take your bottom ring and screw it on to the bottom of the chimney. And again, don't over tighten it. You'll have your black O-ring there. Then you're going to take your glass section. Then you're going to take your top ring. And you're going to see there you have your little holes right like that. And there's your black ring. You're going to put that down like that. Then you're going to take your little knurled nut. And you're going to just screw it on there like that. And again, I just make it finger tight. You don't need to make this super tight. You just want to have it, you know, together like that. From there, we can fill it up. But we're going to hold off on filling it up. We'll put it back together first. Then you just put your top piece on like this. And I like to just kind of go backwards first. Make sure I catch my threads. And then you have your next piece for your drip tip adapter. It goes right there. And you can vape it just with this if you want. You don't have to have your drip tip in there. And then you have your drip tip. Okay, so to juice this up, you're going to grab on the very bottom ring on your 510 connector, and you're going to grab right here, and you're going to unscrew counterclockwise until it stops. That's going to make your juice flow control off. Then you can come up here and you can fill from two places. You can either take off the very top drip tip connector, and you can fill it right there down between the side and the airflow, or you can take off this other piece and you can fill it up right there. And I prefer to do it here. It makes it a little bit easier. You can also take your EG liquid and just kind of pour it in there instead of having to use a little dropper. So we'll go ahead and fill this up, and I'm going to use some Lost Art Captain Crunch. And this is what I'm talking about. I can just take it and kind of pour it in there. Now you can fill it all the way up to the top, right below that airflow tube. If you fill it all the way up, I found it holds about 3.2 milliliters. Then you're going to just put it back together. Put my top drip tip connector back on. And then once you're done with that, you just simply open your juice flow back up like that, and you have no leaks. Now in order to do our airflow control, we need to take our 510 connecting pin out. We're going to unscrew it on the very bottom. And then you can see inside of there, I know it's going to be hard to see in the camera, there is a little screw in there. You're going to take a very small flathead screwdriver and just kind of put it in there. And if you turn it all the way one way, counterclockwise, you'll open up your airflow control. And then if you go all the way clockwise, you'll close off your airflow control. And I like it close to wide open, but not all the way wide open. So I kind of go all the way and then a half a turn back. Then we can just take our 510 connector pin and put it back in there and screw it down. Now let's go back up to some FaceTime and we'll vape this and finish this video up. Okay, so now that we've built it, let's go ahead and vape it. What incredible flavor this thing gets. I actually have this on my Pravari P3. It's a 1.5 ohm coil. You saw us build it. I don't think we're going to get that on there. And I have it at 15 watts. Awesome flavor. You know what? Since the Pravari P3 only goes to 20 watts, let's go ahead and put this on our Hanamod and bump it way up and see where it vapes at a higher wattage. So let's put this thing up to, we'll go up to 25 watts. You know what? We'll go up to 30 watts. 30 watts. Awesome flavor. It's there and no dry hits. Now the key to not getting a dry hit with this thing is the cotton. Make sure you stuff it in there, pack it in there, and you won't get any dry hits. And use a 3mm rod. That's what I found works best. You know, if you want to build a Kanthal coil on this, you know, 1.5 ohms, 3mm rod, a lot of cotton, you shouldn't have any issues with it. Now, I have built nickel coils on this thing, and it's worked really well. The key that I found with the nickel coils is when you have to fill it, completely take it off of your device, close off your juice control, fill it up, open your juice control back up, then put it on the device. If you try to turn the juice control off and on when you have it on your DNA 40, what's going to happen is that spring is going to mess with the resistance reading and you're going to have issues. So let's talk about the pros and cons of this device, and we'll start off with the cons. Number one con, it doesn't come with any spare parts. The only thing it's going to come with is a spring, but there's no O-rings, there's no screws, there's no wick and wire. I mean, I don't really care about that wick and wire anyway because I never use that, but there's no O-rings. I mean, yes, it's only $27.99, but you know what? Charge me $30 and give me some spare O-rings and spare screws. So if you lose your O-rings, if you damage them, if you lose your screws, either A, you're going to have to throw this device out, B, go to Home Depot and try to find something that matches it, or the one good thing is because it is so identical to the Authentic, you can go online and all the parts for the Authentics will fit this. The problem with that is the Authentic parts are very, very expensive. So that's something definitely you want to consider. But again, it's $27.99. So if you break the glass and you don't want to use the plastic or the stainless steel, you can throw the device out, go buy another one, and you still haven't even spent 50% of what the Authentic is going to cost you. My next con would be when I first got this device, it was very tight. At least when I got my black version, it was very, very tight. I couldn't figure out how to take it apart. No matter what I did, no matter how I grabbed it, I couldn't take the chimney off. So I ended up taking a pair of pliers, and I didn't put a rag on it, and I kind of damaged the finish. If you have that issue, take the 510 pin out, and it loosens everything up, and you'll have no problems with it. So that's definitely something to consider. So I think they just over-tightened it when I got it, so that's a definite con. My last con with this would be it eats juice. I mean, this thing sucks up juice. If you wick it the way I showed you how I wick it, it's going to just always go through juice. I tell you, at any given time, I probably have about 1 milliliter of juice just sitting on those wicks. That's how much juice it goes through. Now let's get into the pros after this vape. I love this device. I absolutely love this device. The flavor is there. This has become my everyday, all-day thing. You know, I sit at home sometimes with like an RDA to try different flavors if I just want to mess around with different flavors, but my all-day, everyday vape is in this device. If I'm going out and about, anytime I leave the house, this is what I have in it. And you know what? $27.99. That's my first pro for this thing. Absolutely. $27.99 for this or $180 for the Authentic. I will take $27.99 any day, all day, every day. That's how much I love this device. Next pro, when I got it, it was very clean. I mean, there was like no machine oil on it. I quickly rinsed it and it was good to go. So nice and clean, no scratches on it. It looks identical to the Authentic. It's got awesome airflow. I mean, the airflow in this thing is awesome. If you want to open this thing all the way up, you can chuck giant clouds. If you want to close it off a little bit, you can have a lot more flavor. But even with this thing all the way open, it's giving me phenomenal flavor. Phenomenal flavor. So that's definitely a pro. Next pro, they finally did it. Not having to do screwing, you know, a little tiny fills poured out and then filling it in upside down and all of that. That is definitely a pro. The top fill, the genius, the way they did the top fill, absolutely ingenious. One more pro, and I forgot to show you this in up close and personal. We'll show you right now. You can build this deck with a full tank. Remember on your old Kayfun or your Russian, if you wanted to re-wick it, if you wanted to rebuild it, you had to wait until all of the juice was out of the tank. Either that or use a syringe and try to suck it out, or just waste the juice and dump it. You can do that with this device. It's very simple. Here's how we're going to do it. You're going to take it off of your device here. And you want to have your juice control all the way open. Then simply grab your juice control ring, turn it upside down, and unscrew the base part. Just like that. Now you can take this part, go put it to the side. Make sure you're standing it upside down. You know, I just take off my drip tip. And now I can get to my base. I can rebuild it. I can re-wick it, come back, close it back up, and put it on my device. That is something awesome. You know, I can't tell you how many times I had my Russian and I needed to re-wick it because I was getting a horrible taste, or I needed to rebuild the coil, and I had a full tank. I rebuilt the tank, filled the tank, but not knowing that I needed a new coil on it. I'm loving this device. I just can't say it enough. I love this device. So that's my video for today, guys. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully it helped you out a little bit. Make a decision if you want to get a Tobeco clone of the Kayfun 4. So please do me a favor. Hit the like button down on the bottom. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And until next time, happy vaping.